In a silent corner of history, in a place where time ceased to be a straight line and became a rippling ocean, there existed a brotherhood that few remember and that almost no one would accept as real. These travelers were called the Forgotten Chrononauts, guardians of the universal clock, custodians of eras that should never have crossed paths. Their existence was denied, erased, discarded like a page torn from a sacred book, but traces remain, whispers, echoes that refuse to die. It all begins with Aurelio, a man born twice. The first time, in an old stone city where clocks sounded like war bells. The second, in a clandestine laboratory buried under tons of eternal ice. Aurelio was the first to traverse the temporal rift without losing his sanity, although some say that something inside him did not return. He was sent to observe the end of the Bronze Empire, a lost civilization whose fall was never recorded. He returned with aged eyes, and then there is Nema, the chrononaut who witnessed the day the sun nearly extinguished. She walked upon the dust of an apocalyptic world, heard the last heartbeat of a dying planet, and brought back a luminous seed that still pulses in a forbidden chest. Each of them carried a mission, a fragment of a puzzle that only the Brotherhood understood. Their suits were not uniforms, but canvases of memory, pieces of history sewn together, extinct tongues tattooed on living leather. But time is an untamed beast. Its claws reach even those who try to tame it. A mistake, a thread pulled wrong, and everything can unravel. The Brotherhood knew this, yet they continued, until one day they disappeared, one by one, swallowed by the very eternity they explored. Aurelio disappeared on his last mission, leaving behind an incomplete diary. The pages spoke of temporal doors that pulsed like living beings, of cities suspended in endless seconds, of shadows walking backward. Naima was the next to vanish. Her trail faded in the year that is yet to come, a fragmented future in broken mirrors where each reflection shows a different destiny. The Brotherhood fell into silence, like ancient dust swept by a nameless wind. Only rumors remained, the echo of an oath that no one remembered. But some say that time does not forget, it only waits. And thus arose the last chrononaut, a young man named Elias, born out of time, able to hear the beats of the cosmic clock as others hear the rain. Elias found Aurelio's diary in a library that should not exist, a place between minutes where books whisper and clocks breathe. Upon reading it, he felt a calling, a note held in the air, pushing him to follow the footsteps of those who had faded away. He decided to travel, not for glory, but for memory. He knew that each leap could shatter him into thousands of instants, but he also understood that without answers, the world would forget the guardians of time forever. With a suit woven of copper and light, and a compass that spun endlessly, Elias approached the forbidden breach. It was caught in a whirlwind of overlapping eras, and in a flash, he saw lost faces, battles that never happened, repeated dawns. Time welcomed him like cold water on dormant fire. He took one more step, and reality split like glass, opening a path to the impossible. Elias understood that he was crossing the threshold where the Forgotten Chrononauts still breathed. Their voices were threads of gold in the darkness, calling him by name. He followed the glow of a footprint that burned like embers in the snow of no time. Each step a story, each breath a century. The landscape surrounding Elias did not belong to any particular world or century. It was a valley made of memories, with mountains formed by frozen seconds and rivers flowing backward, carrying laughter and laments from entire eras. Each step lifted flashes of other lives, a soldier saying goodbye, a poet writing his last verse, a child running toward a future that no longer existed. Elias moved forward with reverence, knowing he walked upon history itself, as if time were a living being. In the distance, a hooded figure appeared, walking without leaving a trace. Elias felt that this being had been waiting for him since before he was born. As he approached, the figure revealed a face worn by thousands of cycles. It was Aurelio, or what remained of him, a fragment of a man sustained by memories. His voice was a whisper of broken clocks, an echo that seemed to fade with each word. He told Elias that the Brotherhood had been betrayed by time itself. Excessive travels had weakened the fabric that protected the chronic flow, allowing an ancient consciousness to awaken in the cracks. This consciousness fed on memories, erasing identities, devouring entire centuries. The Chrononauts fought, but were scattered across disconnected timelines, forgotten even by those who loved them. Aurelio handed Elias a key forged with stolen moments. With it, he could cross the core of time and find Naima, trapped in an unstable future. But he warned that each use of the key would erase a memory of Elias, turning his own life into sand that falls without return. Elias accepted without hesitation. The memory of the Chrononauts mattered more than his own name. Elias advanced toward the core of time, holding the key as if it were a fragment of his own soul. The horizon split into lines that twisted like luminous serpents, revealing scenes of overlapping centuries. He saw cities being born and falling in a single blink, gardens blooming only to turn into desert, volcanoes roaring only to fade into silence. The air smelled of lost childhood and uncertain future, as if everything that had been and everything that would be breathed in the same instant. Elias took a step and felt a memory slipping away from him, his mother's laughter fading like smoke. He understood that the price had begun to be paid. Still, he moved forward, for at the center of the temporal ocean shone a tower made of solidified seconds, a transparent obelisk where Naima remained suspended, trapped between futures that fought to devour each other. Each pulse of the structure was a silent roar, an attempt by time to close in and expel him. Elias raised the key, and the obelisk opened like a wounded heart. Inside, Naima had eyes filled with broken dawns. Her voice was a faint thread barely audible, but her presence was strong, like a contained storm. Elias called her name, and something within her awakened, a heartbeat, a spark, a return. When he pulled her from the temporal crystal, a whirlwind of foreign memories enveloped them. They witnessed the fall of the Bronze Empire, the last light of a dying sun, the birth of the first chrononaut on a starless night. Each vision was a weight, but also a force that pushed them forward. Elias no longer remembered his own face, but he did remember his vow. No guardian would be forgotten. Together they ran, defying the infinite roar of the universal clock, seeking the exit to a line where time would still accept hope. Elias and Naima advanced through waves of broken time, holding onto each other as reality burned like ancient paper. Behind them, the obelisk collapsed, devouring itself in its own reflection, and the core trembled like a heart determined to stop beating. The universal clock roared with fury, trying to close the passage and erase the existence of the Chrononauts forever. But in that moment, something unexpected was born from the union of their memories, a glow woven with the recollections of all who had walked before them. It was light made of names and destinies, a spark capable of remaking history. Time hesitated, as if fearing what that flame could provoke. Elias felt another memory fade, his childhood, his first words, the sensation of the sun on his skin. But in his chest burned a truth greater than himself. No one would be forgotten. Naima took his hand, and together they crossed the nascent threshold. Behind them lay the fragments of broken worlds. Ahead, a fertile silence where history was reborn. Time watched them without understanding, unable to erase what had awakened. In the new timeline, Brotherhood resurfaced like a growing whisper, like a heartbeat multiplying until it filled entire universes. Elias, now almost devoid of his own memories, looked at Naima and knew that was enough. He didn't need to know who he had been, What mattered was what they would become from that moment on. Chrononauts, yes, but never forgotten. And as the new time blossomed like an endless dawn, their names were etched not in ink or marble, but in the very beats of a universe, where no shadow could ever erase them. And so they began again, free in eternal time.